Welcome to this week's edition of Black Authors Matter TV, where we interview the latest movers and shakers in the African American literary community. You'll meet some old friends, discover new ones, and stay abreast of the latest book developments around the country and even the world. So sit back and relax for the next 2 hours with Black Authors Matter TV co-hosts Gwen Richardson and Dr. Rhonda Lawson.
Good evening and welcome to the June 27th edition of Black Authors Matter TV. I'm Gwen Richardson, your host for tonight, along with my co-host,
Dr. Rhonda Lawson. Good evening, everyone.
And we always have an amazing show, and tonight is no different. Before we get started, just a couple of updates. If you want to participate in the National Black Book Festival as a participating author, please get your registration deposit in as soon as you can, because we're over 85% capacity right now. And so we do expect to sell out. Normally we sell out by the end of July. So that's the way it's trending now. And the Black Authors Matter Children's Book Awards, that's going to be, the finalists are going to be announced on this show on the August 15th edition. And the judges met this weekend to evaluate the book.
I saw that picture. I was like, okay, come on, judges.
We have to meet again. We normally have to meet twice to finish them all because we get a lot of submissions. But we'll be announcing the finalists on August 15th. So we're going to bring on our first guest. We have 2 books to give away. We'll do that later on in the show. So our first guest is Brian Buckmire. He has a new book called Come Home Safe, and it's for middle grade to it's YA fiction. It's about how young people encounter the police. And so we want him to tell us about his book, what gave him the idea. By profession, he's a journalist and a news commentator, and also a public defender, by profession. So, but you also are quasi-journalist because you're an analyst on TV. So anyway, welcome to Black Authors Matter TV.
Thank you very much for having me here. I appreciate the invitation and the opportunity to talk about my book.
But thank you for being here.
And you're wearing your t-shirt. Wonderful.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, I'm happy. I just got in the mail, pulled it out.
Okay.
So it came right on time.
Oh, yeah, yes.
Awesome.
Okay. All right. So tell us about your journey from being an attorney and public defender to being an analyst and then to an author. Just tell us a little bit about your background. And how you got started.
I'm the oldest of 3. My family is from the Caribbean. My mother is Jamaican. My father is Grenadian. Went to undergrad, went to law school. I'm originally from Toronto, Canada, but I did both my undergrad and law school in the United States. I went to be a public defender in Brooklyn, New York at the Legal Aid Society. And I'm doing that for about 8.5, almost 9 years. And in that time, I represented people from all walks of life for many different cases, anything from driving with a suspended license to homicides. And in that journey, I started doing television work in true crime and legal commentary. I worked for a network called Law and Crime Network. We covered trials and we watched going on in cases, but then I was also hired by ABC. So I'm an ABC legal contributor. You probably saw me on Good Morning America today. I've been on ABC 2020, Good Morning America 3, Nightline, all the ABC platforms you can think about, talking not only about the law and major cases, but also how the law differs when it comes to how it treats Black and brown people.
Now, how is that that experience? And I ask because I watch a lot of the commentators, especially when you're talking about explosive cases or cases that kind of pull at the public's emotions. Often the conversation can sometimes get a little bit contentious. Has that ever happened for you?
I wouldn't say not necessarily. I think the way in which I articulate myself doesn't open itself for contention. And I guess the easier way to say is I don't start nothing, but I definitely finish it.
So you're not confrontational.
Yeah, what I try to do from legal commentary is I just provide facts. This is the case, this is what's going on, but understand that when my clients get arrested, they don't get motor cages driving them up and no handcuffs, and they get treated like they're the ex-president. They get treated like this. So I try to highlight the differences, but I would say I've also been very blessed and fortunate because I've covered, for example, the Derek Chauvin trial for the murder of George Floyd and also the murder of Ahmaud Arbery. I've had the opportunity to interview some of these mothers and family members who have lost loved ones, as well as Jesse Jackson, Ben Crump, Reverend Al Sharpton. And speaking with these people in this context, I think they think that I'm doing work, but it's more beneficial to me, I think, in seeing how the law touches them and how they fight back for justice. And that kind of colored the book as well. I'm not sure if you and your audience remember, there was a young boy by the name of Elijah McClain in Colorado who was killed by the police. And for whatever reason, that one of all the other ones really hit home. And I have a younger brother who's 12 years younger than I am. And he called me up. He said, Brian, and it's actually a quote in the book, how do I not become the next hashtag?
Wow.
And to understand that conversation, you got to understand the relationship. We have different fathers. My mother remarried and had him 12 years later. I'm his legal guardian. I taught him how to shave. I bought him his first suit, potty trained him, diaper training, all that. So when he's asking me this question, it's not just brother to brother. It's a little deeper. And he asked me in the purest of ways, as if like I had the answer. Like I know how black and brown people should stop being killed by the police because of my resume. And we've had this conversation before, more of like a kind of know your rights, how to navigate things, but never as deep as this. And I didn't have the answer. And that really hurt me because my role in his life is to have that answer. And my wife and I were married at the time, and we were wanting to have children. And I knew it was just a matter of when, not if, my children may ask the same question. And to be completely honest, I think I wrote this book half frantic, half inspired because I needed an answer. And so I interviewed about a little over 20 former prosecutors, a judge, one of my clients who was wrongfully accused and acquitted, court officers, police officers, private defense attorneys. I said, what do you tell your children? And through those stories, I was able to create these two different stories in the book. One of my son being wrongfully accused in the subway and being physically accosted by the police, and one of my daughter being wrongfully accused of stealing someone's cell phone at a bodega or like a corner store, and how they navigate that in remembering the lessons that I tell them and sometimes not following them because they are children. They're 14 and 12 in the book. And it escalates to a point where it gets very contentious and very dangerous, but I always make sure, and I won't give the book away, things turn for the best. But at the end of each of those stories, it's a conversation between the child and the parents about what happened, their pains, their worries, their fears, the parents' pain and worries and fears. And so I wanted to present this situation to the readers, but also the conversation to maybe be a roadmap, maybe spark a conversation, maybe show what we as Black attorneys are telling our children to maybe help other people.
How old was your brother when he asked you about that? Do you remember like what age range?
This would have been what, 2020, 2021. So he would have been 20 going on 21. So he's
a young man.
Yeah, he's young. He's in that age group. I tell people when it comes to young Black and brown men that 14 to 22-ish is around the time that you match the description that officers are looking up. I'm 35. I walk around 9 times out of 10 with a $1,000 suit. Officers are not looking at me in the same way they look at my brother or young men in that age. So I think for him, especially with Elijah McClain being so close to his age, it was a more, it hit him right in his world, right in his wheelhouse.
Right.
It's interesting that you say that officers are not looking at you the same, because often we hear affluent Black men say that they don't feel like they're looked at any differently than somebody who might be wearing the sagging pants or what have you. In fact, sometimes they feel like they're being looked at even closer because who are they to be wearing expensive clothes, or who are they to be wearing or driving an expensive car, living in an expensive neighborhood? I remember a long time ago, the D.L. Hughley show, when DL was at a bar with his friend, and some white men thought that he was an athlete. He said, "No, I'm not an athlete." He's like, "Oh, he must be a rapper." "No, I'm not a rapper." And they said, "Oh, I guess he's selling drugs." He's like, "No, I'm actually a business owner." And I've heard often black men say that these assumptions are made about them.
Oh, definitely assumptions are made, but what I mean by they look at me differently, when I was 18, 19 on the subway traveling compared to now, it is different. The assumptions are different. I'm fortunate. I live in Harlem. I call it the Mecca of Black excellence. And so there are many of us walking around wearing amazing suits, looking good and things like that. But I don't drive a nice car for that very reason, even though I can afford one. I realize that sometimes I have to catch myself where I know how much money I make. I walk into a store. I did it the other day. I walk in, and you can't see what I'm wearing now, but I used to play college soccer. So if I'm not wearing the suit, it's track pants and a shirt. I try not to wear a hoodie just because of the connotation that comes with it. But I'll walk in wanting to buy something nice for my son. I wanted to get him a nice button-down shirt because we were going to like a daddy and son kind of play date. And I'm half Jamaican. We gotta represent when we show up. No one paid me no mind as I'm shopping at the store. And unfortunately, sometimes I'm used to it. I just walk out and I won't come back. Sometimes I'll walk in with a suit just to see if it's different. And they come and "Oh yeah, can I get you this? Can I get you that?" I'm like, "Don't worry about it. I'll go somewhere else." So I think when I was looked at as a criminal because of who I was and what I looked like. Now it's, as you pointed out, I don't feel the criminality, but I feel is this the place for you? Are you sure you're in the right place?
So it happens to women too. Being followed or whatever, or ignored, being followed or ignored. Not all the time, and I won't say not even often, but just enough so you don't forget that it does happen. No.
There's actually a thing that happens, unfortunately, I think, to almost every Black attorney that I've spoken to, male and female. So if you go to a courtroom, the front row is reserved for attorneys, prosecutors, investigators, and every other role is for the public.
Okay.
And every attorney of color I've asked, when you started working and you sat in the front row, what happened? And they would all say, the court officers in the room will come up to you and say, "You're in the wrong seat. You need to."
They think you're the defendant.
Think you're a defendant.
Wow. Okay.
And I've had situations where I look and I'm looking at my suit, and I'm not sure if you can tell, but I have a law school ring on, and not many law schools give you rings when you graduate. I went to a top 25 law school. I probably went to a better law school than most people sitting in the row. And I'm like, I've got my ring, I've got my suit, I have my folder that says the firm, the public defender's office I'm from, and I'm looking at my white counterparts like the shirt like this, I like this, like, you know, that stereotypical public defender look. I'm like, yeah. What makes you think that this man is an attorney, but I am not?
Wow.
And that's such a common, unfortunate reality for many of us that, and I try to articulate that in the book. The son's name is Reed, which is my actual son's name. It's and the daughter's name is Olive, because my grandmother, who passed when I was 8, her name is Olive Reed, and I wanted to almost dedicate this book to her. So the children are named after her as well. Reed represents young men who are 14, 15, 16, but because of their size, a little bit of scruff on their face, the world perceives them as being much older and much more dangerous. Olive represents, I think, actually a lot of women, Black women that I spoke with, where their mind is not valued in the same way that they perceive. And what I mean by that is we have brilliant Black women public defenders. I think they almost outnumber the Black men. but their voice and their intellect is always graded based on their race and not what they say. And I found that to be a persuasive thing that I heard from Black women, and I wanted Olive to be that. If you read the book, everything she says is right. Everything she says is legal. Everything she says you could take to the bank, and you could probably read what she says word for word, and you'll be a great attorney. But she's never believed. She's never trusted. She's always said, and it's a thing that she struggles with in the book, because I found in speaking with a lot of Black mothers and a lot of Black women, their intellect as an attorney was never valued until someone else co-signed it for them or years later. And so I try to integrate that into the book as well.
Okay. Well, this sounds like a somewhat heavy topic, but
somewhat. I'm all in.
Well, a lot of the things that young people are, being confronted with and are dealing with are heavy. So there needs to be something that's realistic for them.
Sorry to cut you off there.
No, that's okay. You said life is something.
Yeah. My advice for people, because my mother, I gave her bits and pieces of this book as I was working on it. And she would call me up like at all hours of the day being like, if this officer talks about blood clot pitney one time, the book is not real. I said, Mom. And the bad thing that I did is I did not give my mom the full book to read at one go. It is a short book. It is 208 pages. It is meant to be read in one sitting. And I promise you will be on a roller coaster of emotions, and you will feel hot through some of it. But it does end on a positive, uplifting note. Please read it through. If you read it part way, you're going to feel a type of way. And I apologize for that. But it's meant to invoke emotion.
Well, the key message is one that parents do give to their children, and that is come home safe. That's the goal. And the other, we can talk about once you get home safe, what options we have, what actions we need to take or whatever. But don't try to write the system on your own.
No, absolutely. You cannot do that. And I would say that for a parent, I mean, I'm a single mother. Well, I say single mother, but my daughter's 23 now, but, but, she's still my only daughter. And when she goes out, I can't just worry about whether she's going to get accosted, or she's going to get into a fight, or somebody's going to try to rob her. I also have to wonder if she's going to get pulled over. Is she going to know how to handle herself? So even at 23 years old, I'm not trying to tell her she can't go here, she can't go there, but I would like, hey, let me know when you get there. Let me know when you're back safe. One time I didn't know she was home. Because after she graduated, she came and moved in with me. And so one time she came home and I'm like, I didn't know she was home, because she was so tired. She slept on the sofa. And I'm not hearing her door open and close. So I'm worried. And I'm texting her, like, when are you coming home? And she's like, I am home. I'm downstairs. I'm like, well, thank God. You should have said something. Don't give me a heart attack. And now I know why my mother always worried about me and told me to let me know when you get there safely and let me know when you get back. I mean, I think she went overboard a little bit with it, but I understand.
Yeah, well, all children think their parents go overboard. And here's the thing, when your children become adults, you don't worry about them any less.
You really don't.
You
you worry about them more.
You do, because they're on their own. You have more control over them when they're young. They're coming and going, and getting there, and who their friends are and all of that. But when they're adults, you just hope and pray that whatever you've sown into them, they use it. And generally they do. They do use what you.
My mother says that I was born an adult, and I thought I was a big man, and I raised myself, and I was a good kid overall. I didn't cause too much trouble, but I always thought that I was grown enough that I didn't need someone to watch over me. And my mother, to this day, 35 years old, I'm still her baby. She doesn't care. And I remember when my son was born, he was born a little bit early, but still very healthy. And about 2 or 3 days later, I called my mom and I said, is this what it's like? And she's like, what do you mean? Like, I've been in the game for 72 hours. And if he breathes funny, I wake up. If he rolls funny, I wake up. It's like existing with your heart outside of your body in a way that I never comprehended. I was told about it. I was warned about it. But even now, my son is 40 feet away from me. But I have there's a camera on him where if he makes too much noise, I'll just step out and go get him. And the idea of my heart being able, he's crawling and standing now, but the idea of my heart walking the streets and me not being there to protect him is terrifying. And I think that's kind of helped with this book. Because even in the book, parents were giving me tips that I didn't even think about. There's one that I knew that a court officer gave me, and he said, I don't let my son keep his wallet in his back pocket. And when he first told me, I was like, what do you mean? Where did he put the wallet? He's like, his wallet's in his front pocket. He said, because if a cop stops him and asks him for his ID, the motion of reaching for your back pocket looks far too similar, like reaching for a weapon.
Right. Well,
and there's too many of us who have been shot because they have a cell phone in their hand, too many with a wallet in their hand, and Dorito bags, whatever you want to call it. So he said, I need to make sure that when my son is pulling out his wallet, they know that it's safe. Then I talked to another parent, they said, I don't even let my child have a black, brown, or silver wallet because it looks too close to the color of the butt of a gun or the handle of a gun. My children only have bright yellow, bright pink, bright orange. And if they want to fight me over it, they can fight me over it. But I'd rather fight them with a tie-dye wallet and know they're safe than some fool mistaking it for a weapon. And I put that into the book. So you'll see little weird things that they do, and they explain why they do it. But it's like little tidbits that parents have taught me that I'm trying to pass on to try to alleviate that stress.
You know, it's sad that we have to think about these things as parents. And and I'm sure every culture has their worries, but I just don't see other cultures having those same worries as we do. We worry about the smallest things. If you get pulled over, make sure you say yes, sir, no, sir. Keep your hands on the wheel so they always see your hands. You know, these are things that we don't think about. We laugh and talk about how some people will just argue back with the police officer, but we can't afford to do that. We don't know if this is going to be our last breath. And it's sad and scary at the same time.
It is. And what I tell people as well is not only is sad and scary, but unfortunately, and I don't mean to make light of it, but it's almost like every 2 weeks, we learn a new thing we can't do.
Right.
I didn't know that I could potentially get shot at by going to pick up my brother and knocking on the wrong door. Mm-hmm. But now, because of Ralph Yarl, I see that's a possibility depending on a neighborhood. I didn't know that running through a neighborhood and looking at a home, my father's a general contractor. We used to, and still do, he put down hardwood floors and toilets and stuff like that. I help him out. Sometimes he comes to my house and help. Sometimes I see a house under construction, or I see especially here in Harlem, I aspire to buy a brownstone for my family. So I'll stop and I'll poke my head in. But after Ahmaud Arbery, I can't poke my head into places no more. And so we're almost learning that these things that should be normal for us to do that is for others can have better results for us. And it's a heartbreaking reality.
Absolutely. Absolutely it is.
It is. I wanted to ask about your work as an analyst. Did you seek that out, or did they contact you, or did you have an agent that was seeking out opportunities? How did that work?
So I am, for lack of a better term, a very passionate and, let's say, over-the-top attorney when I feel that wrong is being done to my client. And someone observed me making an argument in court. The judge agreed with me. I think the case went well for us. And someone tapped me and said, I think you should do this on TV. And they had worked in the TV world as a host of Law and Crime. They got me on as a guest. I did the guest work for a while where they would show me video of a trial and I would break it down for them. Went from guest to host to having my own nationally syndicated show called Law and Crime Daily for about 2 years. And then I started doing Inside Edition and ABC and CNN and MSNBC. And then finally ABC said, we want you for ourselves. And they hired me as a legal contributor to do that. So it really, one thing fell into another.
Okay.
I've only recently got an agent after this book was published to try to have some sort of direction rather than just stumbling into success.
You know, I always tell people that when you're doing something that you're passionate about, or something that you love, or something that you're aspiring to be, always put your best foot forward, because you never know who's watching. And I just wonder, as I'm listening to your story, did you even know that certain people were even paying attention to say that we want you to have this opportunity?
No. I mean, I understand the concept of you never know who's watching. I played college soccer. As a child, we would go to tournaments and we would play, and the coach would say, you don't know what recruits are out there. Don't yell at the ref, play your game. You don't know who's going to recruit you. So the concept has always been there in my mind, but it's never in the forefront of my mind. It's always do the work and let the chips fall where they may. So represent your clients to the fullest of your ability. If someone notices how good you are and wants to give you an opportunity, great. But if you do right by other people and you do the work that you are here to do, and for me, it was advocating for other people. I've been blessed and fortunate enough that people have tapped me to say, you want to do this? You want to try this? Even the book. This book was not supposed to be anything for anyone. This book was meant for my family. I wrote this book to answer for my brother. I wrote this book for my future children. And I was working on it as a project during the death of George Floyd trial. And Lindsay Davis, the anchor of ABC News Live, was told about this book through one of her producers. She said, come to the hotel where we're staying and let's have some drinks. I told her about it. I showed her a chapter or two. And she's the one who connected me with the publisher to get this book published. This book wouldn't be in existence if not for Lindsay Davis. So I have to thank her for that consistently. But again, it's just someone saw something that I maybe didn't see at the time and put me in the right position to be here.
That's really wonderful. Now, do you have a copy of your book with you? We normally ask that at the beginning of the interview.
Yeah, we just got caught up in the conversation.
I do. You got to give me 2 seconds to grab it. It's in the other room on the table.
Okay,
we're counting.
No problem.
1001, 1002.
Because we do like the audience to see what the book looks like. So when they go online to order it, they're sure that they're ordering the right book. So
okay, here we go.
Okay, very colorful.
Nice, colorful, pops out, come and save. Supposed to have the 2 children here. Yeah.
Okay. Now, I had a question. You in the book, they are biracial siblings, and what made you make them biracial?
So 2 reasons. One, my child is biracial, and then 2, when I was talking to my cousin who is also biracial, he was explaining things to me in a way that I never contemplated in the spectrum of Blackness for how it operates. Where he said something was like, I don't know why an officer sees my Blackness, but not my whiteness, because am I not actually both?
Oh, okay.
And I found it interesting that on the spectrum of color, there are different issues that come up with how the world perceives us. Because me, I've been Black all my life. From day one, my mother told me, hey, you could have been born, and it was not to be disrespectful to anyone. She said, you could have been born a beautiful, blonde, white, blue-eyed white woman, and the world would have been a much different place for you. But you have to work twice as hard because you are a Black man and the way the world perceives you. And so from day one, I understood where my cards stacked up. But I wanted to be more nuanced and more, and it comes up in the book as well, where the son says, why are they looking at this one specific thing of me and criminalizing it? He says, and I made him all this. He's like, I'm an honor student. I play soccer. I volunteer at a soup kitchen. And they pick out this one thing about me. I wanted to make it even more highlighted by having a biracial child and kind of incorporating all Blackness and all colors of that Black spectrum. in that. And it was very purposeful, and it comes from partly my cousin, but also my own experience.
Okay, well, we're at the end of our time, and we would like you to show the book one more time.
So this is Come Home Safe. It's available wherever you can get a book online. It's on Barnes and Nobles, Amazon. You can also get the audio book. It's not my voice. It's a far better voice than mine. And go out and check it out, read it. The one thing I'll leave you with is the book is not an answer. While I am an expert in many things legal, I do not have the magic keys to police officers stopping to assault and harm us and kill us. But what I do say is it's a collection of the things that I have learned in the almost decade as being a public defender and from the 20 people I've interviewed. And I think it's a way to spark the conversation for us as a community to eventually find the answers. My hope is that when I show this book to my grandchildren, it makes no sense to them. That it makes no sense. That
we will have moved well beyond that to where it's not a thing anymore.
Exactly. Right.
That's what we all hope.
We did put the website in the chat so people can click on the link and purchase the book today, hopefully tonight. But thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you for the great conversation, and we wish you all the best in this venture, and we'll be looking for you on TV.
And thank you for having this platform and amplifying others' voices. Our community, the backbone has always been powerful Black women, and I know that, and I see that you two are. So I have nothing but love, respect, and thankfulness to the both of you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Have a great one, Lise.
You too. Have a great evening. Bye-bye. Bye.
Well, before we bring on our next guest, I want to give my co-host an early happy birthday. Her birthday is Thursday. You know, mine was last Tuesday, so I had to wear my little birthday crown the whole show. But happy birthday, Rhonda, and I hope you have an amazing day on Thursday. One of these years, your birthday is going to fall on a Tuesday, and that's
I know, right?
Yeah. So our next guest is, it's scheduled for Gloria Pasteur, and I'm not sure if it's going to be her or Sandra Terry. It looks like it's Sandra Terry, but this is a representative of the African American Book Club in Claremont, Florida. And so this is Miss Pasteur, I believe. So let's unmute the mic so we can hear you.
You're looking absolutely beautiful.
Well, thank you. God, you look beautiful yourself.
Thank you.
So welcome to Black Authors Matter TV, Ms. Pasteur.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here. I really am.
Well, we are happy to have you. Thank you for agreeing to talk with us tonight.
Okay. All right.
Yes, and you came in our radar because your African American Book Club in Claremont, Florida, donates books to your local library, and you all have been doing it for many years. So we wanted to have you on. We have people who do book projects and book clubs on the show because all of it's integrated with everything in literature. All of it, the book clubs drive a lot of the book sales and the buzz about books. So tell us about the African American Book Club and when you all started, and were you one of the original founders? And just give us a little background on that first.
Okay, well, what we do is this. We try to promote things in the community, and especially for children. Because when I first moved to Claremont, there were no Black books for children, in my opinion, not enough anyway, in the libraries. So what we do, we have a lot of different libraries in Claremont. So each year during Black History Month, we donate children books to a library, one of my choosing most times. And we have done that. We started out with the Claremont Library, and we did that for years. And now we branched out a little more. We go all over the county of Lake. Lake County, and we select a community or a library that we'd like to impress with children books. And each member donates a book, but then we spend the money that we pay for dues to buy books by Black authors to put in the library that's chosen. And that's what we've done. It's our contribution to, I guess you could say, the community. And
Right.
what it is we in this particular club, we're all senior citizens. Nobody's young. We have one young lady in it now. And she's such a delight because everybody else is old. And, you know, they have their ideas, but she has ideas that are also good. And we just enjoy it. We have one member that's 100 years old.
Wow.
Uh-huh. And
Wow,
she
okay.
is outstanding. She reads as much as the rest of us do. I am a senior citizen myself, but
No.
yeah, I am way up there. But
She said way up there. Come on.
and what happened, I guess I'm not the third oldest one in the club. Mm-hmm. But at any rate, this lady, she in November or December, I forgot now which one. Her name is Vera. She is such an independent woman, and she reads the book every month. And what we do with our books, the way they are selected, is they have to be a Black author. That's number one, so that we can get the feel of Black authors and appreciate our own people, which we appreciate the others too. It's not to say that you can't read other authors, because you can, because I do also. But the thing is to get to know our own and to get our children, grandchildren, or just children, period, to read about themselves and their lives is a good thing. And it's nothing to be ashamed of, ever. So that's why we do it. We donate Black books. I think I just love the idea that the community benefits from our club. I really do. And they do benefit.
How many books do you think you've given so far?
Wow, I would say maybe 1,000 or more.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I would say
That's
that.
great. That's wonderful.
And that's because they have summer school is out. Kids need to know that there are books there about themselves. And if we don't do it, who's going to do it? Parents will do what they can, I'm sure. But to know that there are Black books about Black people and are written by Black authors, it's a meaningful thing, especially to me. I remember my first book that I ever read, and I've been reading books ever since. It was called Bright April. It was about a Girl Scout. But I was a Girl Scout, by the way, a brownie and a Girl Scout.
Yes, I was a brownie.
Yeah.
I wasn't a girl. I wasn't a Girl Scout because I was only a brownie. I didn't keep.
Yeah, I
going
didn't do
long
Girl
enough
Scouts
to become
either.
the Girl Scout, but I was a brownie and sold the cookies.
Yeah,
Door to door.
But it was something that identified us in a special way. And I just enjoyed the Brownie Scouts. I really did. The Girl Scouts I didn't enjoy as much because I happen to have been a shy person. Some tell me, but I'm really outspoken. But since I've aged to where I am. But it's just a good thing to be able to contribute to your community in terms or through the libraries that we have here in Lake County. It's just a good thing. And every year we don't give it to the same people. We used to do that to the Claremont Library. We'd give it to them every year, books. But then I thought it'd be a good thing to just pass it around the whole county.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And that's what we do. Every year we give it to a different library.
Now, what city in Florida is near Lake County? Like what major city that people would know?
Orlando.
Okay, so it's near
Orlando is near Lake County.
Okay.
And, I don't know if you've heard of Leesburg, but Leesburg is also near Lake County.
Well, there's a Leesburg, Virginia. I don't know if
that's the only one I know is in Virginia.
Leesburg, Florida, yes.
Okay. No, I haven't heard of
Claremont is also a retirement community. And that's why all the people that are in the club are senior citizens. And they can understand that our purpose is to help the community first and to further our knowledge of Black authors also, because we only read Black books for the club. You can read whatever you want to, but for the club, we only read Black authors. And everybody has to. We have a limit of 12 members. And we, each person, each month, everybody does not participate because we're limited to 12 people, 12 members. And we only meet 8 months. We are off 3 months during the summer.
Oh, okay.
And we start, but our last meeting is from January to May, I think it is. And then from September to December. And I think we've been a good source for the community. And that's important, the kids in our community. Even we given to Head Start. They were one of the recipients, like the year before last, I think. But every library I try to reach, or the group tries to reach. And being the founder, it's been a true delight as far as I'm concerned. It really has. Because I feel like I'm helping in some unknown way. I don't know what. That
you
kids
are helping.
Yes.
So you are one of the founders of the club.
I am the founder.
You are the founder.
founder.
Okay, so the reason why there was a photograph that was came across a news feed, and it had the picture of you donating the books to the library when you were standing there with the late representative of the library. And I said, oh, would be great to have her on the show so we can find out what they do. And because we have different groups of all different people that have book projects, and some of them are clubs, or some of them are just people who want to donate books. They just are organizing book drives and things like that. So now your club, the books that you all read as a club, do you all have a particular genre that you all like to read?
That's what I was going to ask.
We always do that. But
bestsellers, but they decide. They must have read the book, or they should have read the book before they recommend it to the group. And the only thing that we require is that it be about Black experiences or whatever, as it relates to Blacks, and it has to be a Black author. And they decide upon the book we read each month. And we meet, like I said, 8 months a year. And each member decides upon the book that she will read. We don't have any males in the group, by the way. We only have females. And I don't know why that is, but.
Well, that probably leads to more free conversation. You can speak freely.
It does. It truly does. And we can be free about how we feel about the book, or how it relates to our life. Just different things. But it's Black. And that's important, that we know where we come from, we know who we love. It's so many experiences you can read in a book. And I've been doing it for years. I have over 1,000 books in my house. I got to get rid of them. I don't know. I've read them, I won't back, but and my husband was an administrator, and he also was a minister. And I have religious books as well as any other kind of books, to the worst and to the best. I have something. Mm-hmm.
So do you all vote on your books at the beginning of the year, or do you vote on them month to month?
No, we vote on them at the beginning of the year, and everybody is responsible for that book for that month, even though some of us buy the books all at one time, because I found that I can get them cheaper by buying them all at one time. And I will take a used book, or I'll take a brand new book. It doesn't matter with me, because I love to read. But I find that the older I get, not like my friend Vera, who just celebrated her birthday, 100 years, I find that I have to be comfortable knowing that I got next month's book. You know what I mean? But she writes notes to herself on a pad, and she knows everything about the characters in those books when we get to So that's another good thing. It's satisfying to us, and it's satisfying to the authors, I'm sure, because we only read Black books and we help support them too, in a sense. So that's what we're about, you know.
I just got a question that came in. Well, I'll wait, Gwen.
No, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, I just got a question that came in. An author asked, Audrey Ann Moses, one of our good friends of the show. She asked if authors are able to recommend their books to you.
They do. Yes, they do. And I usually pass them on by internet to the members of the club. If they would like to present this book, they feel welcome to do it. But I do have some authors that have sent book names, you know, of their books, and I pass it on to the members.
Okay. How can people reach you?
By the internet, I guess. You could say African American Book Club.
Do y'all have a page or a Facebook page or anything like that?
Oh, we do have a Facebook page. It's the Clearmount. Wait a minute. African American Book Club of Clearmount.
Okay.
We have a section where you can go on, you know, there and see what we do and how we celebrate and that kind of thing. And
well, I just found your website and I am putting it in the chat.
Rhonda, she put a link to your book, to your Facebook page in our chat so that people can reach out to you if they want to. So what are some of the books that you all have read that are memorable for you recently?
We did a lot of things by Maya Angelou, which is my favorite, one of my favorites. We've done books by Toni Morrison, and you asked me the title, I can't tell you, but I have everything Toni Morrison has ever written. And the same thing with Maya Angelou. I have everything that she's written. I even have signed books from her. And my son, my oldest son, who has passed on at this point, he always said that I am a phenomenal woman. And that's what, I did not even know it until this past year, that he gave me a copy of Phenomenal Woman. And I had read read that, but I never knew what he said to me in the beginning of the book. I never saw it. I don't even know how I missed that. But he said that I have always been a phenomenal woman to him. And that's why I like Maya Angelou. That's one reason I like her. I like her because she's also real, in my opinion. That's why I like her. Yes. And many of the others, they're real too, but it's from experience that they can write the fiction, I think, a lot of them. So, I don't know. I hope that answers your question, does it, in a sense?
It does. It does. Are there any contemporary authors that you all have really liked reading?
Oh, let's see. Those sisters, what are their names? Oh gosh. There were two sisters that we have read all of their books. Alice Walker, we've read a lot of her books. I'm trying to think some men. I have a friend in the book club. She liked this man.
I did see on your website that you either have read or you're planning to read Carl Weber's books. So you call yourself a fan?
Yes, we have done. Yes, some of those.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm trying to think. We have done Eric Dyson. I like him.
Oh yeah,
Michael Eric Dyson. Okay.
He's just wonderful to me. I have the opportunity to see him at Bethune-Cookman College in Daytona. And it was just such a good presentation that he presented. So I really enjoyed that.
Well, my niece went to Bethune-Cookman.
Is that right?
Undergraduate. And my other niece went to Florida A&M. So,
my husband attended Florida A&M.
Right. So they're this has been a while since they graduated, both of them. But one of them has a doctorate, and she teaches college, and the other one is working in her field, which is like historical. She likes to do things with museums and history. She loves history.
I see. I had going not back getting away from the books, but my brother-in-law was a psychologist. His name was Alfred Pasteur. And he led me on to the Blackness that I have, and more than anybody else I can think of. I am a collector of Black art, not to mention Black books. Black books is just, my house is overrun with them. And the older I get, my children don't read like I read. I've always read from elementary school up until this age now. But it's just that the different authors offer different things.
Yes.
And to not only to us as a group of women, Black older women, but it also helps us with the community. And we see a need that we should read more. And as a group, that's what we do. And we please ourselves by reading and selecting the books that we want to present to the group.
Yes.
So it opens up a whole new reason for us. We can identify with some things we can't. But as a group, selecting our own books that we present each month, it opens up another whole world. We laugh sometimes we get angry, sometimes we cry, but it's just a good thing. We just enjoy reading Black books. And we all have the opportunity to participate in what we read, because you present the book that you want to each month or each year. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it seems like you read a pretty good variety of books. It's not the same type of book every month.
That's true. That is.
And it shows that we're not a monolith. We don't all read the same books. We all don't read the same types of stories. So you often will see authors who will maybe talk about the same issues, but in different ways.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And then we have so many new authors that are coming forth at this point. And I guess being from the old school, I like to read old school authors. And that's the men and the women. But there are some women we have in the group that like to bring or present to us new authors. And that's good, because we don't get stuck in our routine.
Yes.
Few things. Uh-huh.
Now, one of the viewers asked the question, to what do you attribute the longevity
of the group?
Of your book club?
The sisterhood that we have. Uh-huh. And then most times we do get along. We don't disagree with each other. It's just a way that we express our experiences through the books. Or maybe a family member might come to mind as you read a book. Something of that effect. But I think it's more of a sisterhood than anything else. In my opinion, it would be. Mm-hmm. And in a community where it's predominantly Republican and white, it gives us a chance to interact with each other on this particular basis by reading things that we have experienced, and we can share it with others. And it doesn't matter what the color is, we share it anyway.
Yes.
And you meet people like that, and you influence people like that, to be for real from what we've experienced.
Love it.
Now, when you donate your books to the different libraries, do you ask them first? Would they like the books, and what kind of reception do you get from all the different libraries?
Always had good reception. Nobody never turns us down. And we always, when we do it, we try to get somebody that we have not done with before. Like the Claremont Library, we did that for years, because we started in 205, and to 203, we've existed. And we've basically, some people come and go, but then the basic people, we started out with 6 ladies. And those 6 ladies, the ones that are still alive or didn't move away, are still with us. So it's good. And we've gotten new people over the years, and it's been good. It really has. It has expanded our thinking in many ways by having them with us. Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, Miss Pasteur, we really appreciate your being on the show. And we want people to know the African American Book Club of Claremont, if they want to reach out to your club, they can do it on Facebook. And Rhonda put the link in the chat so people can easily click over and go right to it.
Okay, well, it's been a delight for me to do this. It really has.
Well, and congratulations to your club, the work you're doing, and for being around as long as you have been.
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
And well, keep doing what you're doing.
Okay, well, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh,
and the club appreciates it too. Okay.
Say what now?
I say the club appreciates my being here also.
Oh, okay. Well, we
have indicated that.
We like to have people on who are at the grassroots, who are actually in the communities doing things.
Yes,
so,
this is a retirement community, a 55 plus community.
Okay.
And we reach out. This is something for other ladies in that community and men. We haven't had a man to join, of course, but other ladies to come to us. And it's a sisterhood. It's been delightful. It really has. For me especially.
Okay, well, thank you so much again, and have a great evening.
You do the same, both of you, and thank you all.
Thank you. You have a great night.
You too now. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, so we had our 8:30 guest logged on. I believe she had the time zone incorrect. So, and I don't have a phone number. So what I'm going to do is just try to reach out to her by email and see if that works, because she may have thought that it wasn't, something went wrong or something like that. So I'm going to try to
we can always do our book giveaway. We haven't done that yet either.
We haven't. And so let's do that. And then we'll bring on our next guest. But I wanted to try to reach out to the person that's supposed to be on at 8:30 before her time slot. You know what I mean? So anyway, let's do we have 2 books to give away. The first is called The Overnights by Ian K. Smith. And the trivia question for this book is, what are the call letters of the TV station where the main character, Morgan, works?
And it's not WKRP in Cincinnati.
So that's for this book. This is an advanced reading copy of The Overnights by Ian K. Smith. And you all may know Ian Smith is also a doctor. He has the Super Shred, the Revolutionary Diet book that he did. So he also writes these mysteries, thriller books.
I didn't know he wrote fiction, so that's interesting. I might have to read that.
Me either. That's new. It was new to me too. So, and Connie Briscoe was on the show with the book club Kickback a couple of weeks ago with this book, You Never Know. So the trivia for this book, and this is the actual book, hardcover. The trivia for this book is the main character, Alexis, is torn between 2 lovers. What's the name of one of the lovers? So you don't have to give left both of them alone. She should have. That was, I didn't get it, but I'm going to, I'm going to go off screen for 1 minute to try to reach out to the 8:30 person. Then we'll bring on our next guest at 8 o'clock straight up.
Okay. Well, I sounded just like Gwen when I said that. Okay. So while we're waiting for Gwen to get back, don't forget to answer the questions. Both of the questions have been placed into the chat. The first person to get the answer correctly by putting it in the chat, you will win a copy of the book. So you just would need to DM us your name and mailing address, and we'll make sure to get the book out to you. And Gwen has been very good about getting the books out. I saw somebody comment earlier that she got her book from last week. Yeah, Gwen Hayes. She says she received her Vanessa Riley book yesterday. So Congratulations, Gwen, for winning last week. Now, also, while we're waiting, I do want to let you all know that I am hosting a virtual writers retreat on July 8th. We'll be doing some writing classes. We'll also have some guest speakers. You'll have lunch, and you won't have to leave your home. So if you would like more information about that, make sure to message me, and I will get that information out to you. I'm really excited about it, and I would love to see you guys there. And it looks like Stephanie has gotten the first answer, WLTV. Just in time, Gwen.
Surprised. Why am I not surprised? Okay, so Stephanie Burnham got the overnights book. Is that the one she got? Okay.
WLTV.
Okay, and then the other book.
We're still waiting for a response on that one.
Okay. All right. So we are going to bring on one of the hardest working women in publishing. and that is none other than Entice. And she is setting the world on fire with all the stuff that she's doing.
Absolutely.
She was already doing a lot of stuff with her books and movies. And now she has the imprint at, I think it's at Kensington, if I'm not mistaken, but it's Black Odyssey Media. She has her own imprint where she is signing authors, and books are scheduled to come out all throughout the year. And she's just, and what I told one of her authors that was on the show last week or the week before, that whenever I email Entice, I don't care what time of day or night it is, she answers you
5 minutes later.
So I've never had to wait for an answer. I mean, this is amazing. And you know, I tend to be on it too in terms of checking, but it's really beneficial that she responds quickly, because then you know, I have my answer, then I can move on. But
right.
And she's going to be at the National Black Book Festival. She's bringing some of her authors with her from Black Odyssey Media. And she's also going to be doing a workshop on turning your book into a film. And she's just doing all kinds of stuff. Now, I don't know if she walked away from her computer or not. Maybe she's answering one of those. There she is.
Hi, ladies.
She just wanted to make an entrance. That's what that was.
I was waiting on Gwen. How are you?
We are doing great, and welcome back to the show. You haven't been on in a while.
Oh yeah, it feels like it's been a while, but I don't know. But then it feels like it was just yesterday that I saw the two of you. So yeah, I don't know. But I do appreciate you guys having me on.
We always appreciate you coming back and talking with us.
Thank you so much, Rhonda.
And you have so much going on this time, because the last time you were on, I think the last time you were on, if I'm not mistaken, I could be, but it was when we did the online virtual festival, I think. Have you been on the show after that?
I don't think so. I think you're right.
No, I think you were on when we had the virtual festival in 2021. And so the last time we had two virtuals and you were on, I don't know if you were on both, but anyway, it's been a while since you've been on the show on the virtual. Yes. But we did see you in person last year at the festival. And I was telling the audience, you're going to be back again with some of your authors from Black Odyssey Media.
Yes.
And you all have done a great launch. Your first book was launched a couple of months ago, I believe, wasn't it? The first
yes,
one
at the end of April.
Okay.
Yes,
okay.
The Accidental Queen.
Right. And so tell us what made you go on this journey with all the things that you're already doing? What made you say, okay, I wanted my own imprint? Or did somebody come to you and say, we'd love for you to do an imprint for us? How did that manifest?
Okay, so I was a literary agent prior to, and I just felt like I wasn't moving the needle enough. I didn't feel that I was able to get our books out there the way I felt they needed to be out there. And I really got tired of hitting those walls. Because a lot of times I was coming up against editors that really didn't see the vision, you know? And so it was just hard to penetrate those spaces. And then one day, I don't know what got into me, but I got the bright idea to just go at it, you know, on my own, start my own publishing company. And then I reached out to Kensington directly and inquired about a distribution deal, a direct distribution deal. So I'm not technically an imprint. I am independently owned.
Okay.
I just have, major distribution. So so not technically one of their imprints. I know sometimes they do. It depends on what's out there in the media. They'll kind of they'll use the word interchangeably, imprint, but we are independent.
Well, that's great. It's great to be independent, and it's great. You know, you've solved one of the major problems that small presses have, and that's distribution.
Yeah.
And I was just going to ask if you can maybe kind of dive into that. How does that work? Because I personally didn't know that Kensington did distribution. I guess in this way. So how does that work for you, that you still get to be independently owned and you haven't kind of gotten sucked into the Kensington machine?
Yeah, great question. This is truly a blessing. I am still on cloud 9 about it. I don't know how I landed this, but I will say I don't believe my hard work went unnoticed. They knew that I, as a literary agent, I did supply a lot of the content that was being published by Urban Books. I also had some really top bestsellers over there under their Defina imprint. And they just saw my work, you know? So when I was able to go into the meeting and I was able to showcase my authors, my clients, and all of the content that I'd helped get out there, they were impressed. And I think it just made sense because we were very successful, but I don't think they knew who the engine was behind all of the content.
That's awesome. That's amazing. And that's a testament to the hard work that you've been putting into this industry for the last few years.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, and I tell your authors, whenever I email you, I have a response within minutes.
I was imagining me as an agent because I was just like that. When the editors would reach out, they would reach out to me before they would my authors. They would say, hey, Entice, we need them to turn over the manuscript, editor, do blah, 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 blah. I was on it. Matter of fact, I had their editing schedule in my calendar. So I was their accountability partner. And so I got the emails, I got the calls, and I know that my authors really appreciated it because, again, we were partners in it. You know, they needed that accountability partner, and it only would make you more productive when you are staying on task, you know, and you're knocking out those deadlines. So yeah, I hear you. So whenever I get an email from you going, I'm like, oh, I'm on it. You know, let me reach out right now.
You do. And it's appreciated because, you know, some people just like, I don't want to say take their time, but they either, I know everybody's busy and everybody's getting a lot of email and it's easy for it to scroll up and you say, okay, I'll get to it. And then it's something, well, scroll down, whichever way it scrolls. So it's like, okay, I forgot. Then you remember like, 2 days ago, I was supposed to respond to that email. So I know that
I'm that way. I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes it takes me a minute to answer an email.
I try not to. What happens to me is I say, okay, I'm gonna respond later. I try to respond right then.
Right.
But sometimes
because when you say you're gonna respond later becomes even more late.
And then the phone rings or you get something else coming in or you have, you know, duties at home that you have to deal with. And then you're like, I try to keep lists, but I also keep sticky notes everywhere.
Yes.
So when something happens, I can write it down right then. And that's for books too, when I'm writing. Because, you know, you can have a thought, a phrase, a scene, some dialogue that comes to your mind. Oh, that would be a great way to say it. And you don't write it down right then. Or you forget. Because you might not be at a laptop or anything at the time. So, you know, it goes. So You know, when
Yes.
you're busy people get things done though. You know, people say that.
This
It's
is true. So what else are you doing with
Yeah.
yourself, Miss Entice?
Well, today we released our new novel, Soldiers of Love, with my co-author Untamed. So today is our
Nice.
release day.
Okay, wonderful. And do you have a copy of your book?
I do.
Okay. Okay, so
I love it. Entice and Untamed.
so
I mean,
Entice is writing books too. And
well, you know what, the authors sound like the name of a book, Entice and Untamed.
Yes, yes, yes. And it's so funny because she has a really funny story. But now, whenever we're on the phone, I'm always calling myself her. I'll say, well, you know, Entice. And yeah, I get us confused because we talk. She's a wonderful, you know, spirit, and I love collaborating with her. And we do great business together. I call her my business bestie.
Well, what's the book about? Tell us about it.
yeah.
All right, so Soldiers of Love. This is one of my most innocent books I've written thus far. I shall say, but it is truly a homegrown second chance romance story about two childhood friends who meet, fall in love young, and decide that they are ready to take things to another level, except for one ends up on the other side of the law and gets pulled into things that liberty isn't really going to stand for. So you have that struggle there, and they find the peace within one another because they come from like these really this dysfunctional background. So you get that part of the story, and then she finds, you know, love somewhere else because this person that she thought was her true love and the one that was meant to be, she figures that she needs to not waste her time, but she needs to explore something outside of that puppy romance. And I think that it's a beautiful journey. And I look forward to readers letting us know how they feel about it.
Well, so how was that process working with a co-author? Did you write a piece and then send it to her and then she wrote the next part, or did you bring your characters together? How did that process work?
So it was really unique how we did it. Honestly, we like to say now we soldiered through this book because this is like a 90s era type project. So imagine, you know, you can imagine that we had to do a lot of research to kind of keep things in continuity. But I let her focus on certain aspects of the novel, and then we would do exactly what you said. She would pass it to me, then I would pass it back to her. And we just kind of we found our rhythm. And after we found our rhythm with writing and kind of getting to know one another's pen, we just fell into the flow.
Were there ever times where you were like, I don't know if I want the character to go that route. I think I want her to say something like that, or I don't feel her saying this.
Yes,
So...
yes, yes. There were quite a few moments. And there was even one scene that when she wrote the scene, I loved it at first. And then I thought about it later and I go, oh no, we need to take that out. And I wanted to X the entire chapter. It was a church scene. And I was just like, oh, we're going to hell for this one, you know? And I just was like, we got to exit out, you know? So, but she was like, she literally talked me off the ledge and was like, no, come on, it's Heights. Let's do this. And I'm just like, oh my God. So I was really nervous about that chapter. And I'm now looking back at it and reading it. Yeah, I'm so glad we kept it in there.
Wonderful. I can imagine that, where you're going to be going back and forth. Yes. Like, okay, wait, where are you going with this?
Yes, yes. There were many nights, many text messages, you know, and even having to come to an agreement on the music. You know what I mean? We had our own of the soundtrack too, but we did come. Now that was the easier fix, you know, figuring out what music we wanted to, you know, to put in there. But I mean, we really enjoyed writing these characters. I think they felt at home because I think as a woman, we can all identify with that first love. And yes, looking at it from a male's perspective, our Liberty character is the one who got away from Zion. So we really take readers through that experience, and they get to witness it and relive the moments they might have had for themselves as children or as teenagers. And we talk about soul ties, trauma bonds. We bring a lot of the new age into it, because we want to show what that looks like when you feel like you have to be tied to someone, or when you're telling yourself you were meant to be with this person because you've known them for so long. We literally walk readers through that experience and what that looks like.
I can imagine that takes a lot of planning before you even start writing.
Yes. We had a million outlines. And we are both, we're both the writers that really don't, navigate from an outline. So, but because we're telling the story in like a past, present type way, there's a lot of shifts in time. We had to have an outline to keep ourselves, organized with it.
So it goes back and forth in time, like from the past to the present. You alternate chapters like that.
Yes. Readers so far, we've gotten a lot of great reviews. Our ARC reviewers have actually said it reminds them of like Love and Basketball, and so it has those vibes to it.
Okay, well, that sounds like a vibe in and of itself. So I'm gonna go ahead and have to read this book. And do you have it only in print, or do you also have it in ebook and audio?
Yes, it is. It's available in all formats.
Wonderful.
Oh, wonderful. That's great. Yeah. Now
you are just on your job, Miss
I try to be.
Are you one of those people that gets 5 hours of sleep?
Maybe 2 hours. Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, I can tell.
Yeah.
Okay, team no sleep. Get some rest.
I used to be like that, but I need to get a little bit more now. But I don't get 8 hours of sleep. I just don't. I'm normally up very late writing. That's when I write. It's late. Or sending emails. I try not to send them too late because sometimes people might miss them if they're asleep when they come in. But sometimes I will write the emails at night and then send them in the morning, just so I have the time to think it through. Oh, and it's quiet. It's quiet at night.
I tell people, if you get an email from me in the middle of the night, I'm not expecting you to answer right away. I'm just sending it while I'm thinking about it.
Right. But I don't want it to get lost like with the other email that comes in like earlier in the day. I mean, like at 7 or 8 in the morning, then it scrolls down, then you miss it. It's email has become people used to send letters. And now, I mean, businesses used to send letters, and that was the way you did business. And now everything is done by email now. Email is the formal way to do business, and texting is the informal. So I don't know what's on the next phase.
It's about
what it's gonna do. It's always moving. It's always moving.
Yeah. People just aren't checking their email the way they used to. I mean, you have right now I send an email and then I send a text saying check your email.
I know. It's almost like so counterproductive when you have to do that, right? I find myself doing, it's counterproductive, I think. But I do better. I'm trying to do better with, working on a schedule. But I have so much work to do right now. I try to seize the moment while I have it, because this is a big deal, major opportunity, and I just don't want to miss, or blow it. So I put my heart, my soul, and everything into Black Odyssey right now.
Well, tell us a little bit about Black Odyssey. And I know how many books are you releasing for this 2023? Is it 10 or 12 books?
So we have about 10 titles, if I'm not mistaken, coming out this year. We launched, our debut was in May. So at the end of April was when we had our official debut. And next year we're on right now the trail to triple that.
Wonderful. And so you're still taking submissions?
Oh, yeah. Actually, so initially when we started, we were going to only do about 6 to 10 titles a year. But like I said, with the agency thing too, I just felt like I wasn't moving the needle by much with 6 to 10 titles. So my partners, I had, a heart to heart, and I said, hey, I'm not moving the needle with just 10 books a year. What can we do about that? And we took the cap off.
Wonderful.
Oh, wow. So do authors who approach Black Odyssey Media need an agent?
No, we take unagented and agented submissions.
Okay.
Are there certain genres that you accept? Do you only accept fiction?
Oh, we accept all. We're open to all genres, across all genres. We right now I can say we don't have any nonfiction. We haven't picked anything. We haven't had anybody submit any nonfiction yet. Well, I take that back. We have had a couple of memoirs to come in. But yeah, we take all. We do look at all.
And what's a percentage that you could say of the submissions that you get in? How many do you sign? Like, what percentage do you sign?
That would probably be a question for our acquisitions, because she keeps up with how many submissions kind of flow through, because I don't see all of those.
Okay.
But I'll say we get a lot. We get about 600 to 800, hits, visitors on our website every month. And out of just that volume that's coming in lately, like we see probably, I don't know, 5 to 6 submissions a day. So we can't, it's really hard to gauge, but I'll say we tend to pick up a lot. So so far, like I said, we are on track with about 30 titles next year.
Mm-hmm. Well, what is the secret to your success? And don't tell me it's because you work hard. There are a lot of people who work hard and they don't seem to be getting as far as you're getting. And right now, it seems like everything that you touch is doing something. I mean, you just published the book, you got the distribution deal, you have a movie coming out. So what is it that's helping you to be successful?
I stay consistent, I have a great team. And I just try to apply, that same energy to everything that I'm doing. I don't half step, So if I'm working on a novel, I'm gonna put my all into it. If I'm focused on other authors' works, I'm going to put my all into their work. I'm going to do everything in my power. Each venture that I take on, I'm going to put my all into it, because I just feel like that thing that in that moment that I'm working on, it deserves that. So that's it. And then I surround myself with people that see the vision and where I'm trying to go with things. And as long as we have that connection, that energy stays positive, and we're able to flow, I feel like that's what keeps us in sync and able to move forward and stay productive. We keep each other lit, over here, my team and I, we're always giving each other, flowers, I tell you, I have the best team. I don't even know how I'm doing this right now. I don't. It's really my team, just having a great support system.
Wonderful.
I tell people that people ask me how are we able to do the book festival every year, and it's the team.
It's your team.
It's your team, and you have to be, and you have to give your team accolades. You can't have people like you working them like workhorses, and then they don't get. In fact, at the festival, I really am low key. I'm so tired and exhausted by the time the festival gets there. I'm really sitting there, and I don't need accolades. I get them, but I don't need them, and I'm not seeking them. I really want my team to be out there shining and doing it.
Yes.
And because they are so good, and Rhonda's part of that team. And that was how Rhonda and I ended up doing this show, because she was the literary correspondent for the book festival.
Yeah.
She, when I was thinking about who could I bring in, you have to have a certain level of trust.
Yes.
Right. And that they won't say something crazy or do something crazy. You know, it's
yeah. Yes.
But that's true though. You have, because when you put responsibility into people's hands, you want to have faith that you don't have to go behind them and check on them. You want to have faith that they're going to do something that's still a good representation of your brand and business. And sometimes it's really hard to let go of that control and actually trust people.
Oh my God, you just said a mouthful. And I'm one of those because I'm such a do it myself type of person, and I'm self-motivated. And I am a workhorse, so it is hard for me to relinquish that control. But my business bestie, Cressida, that is who I found to be, she matched my energy. I mean, it may help that she's an Aries and I'm a Sagittarius. I don't know, you know, we click that way. But yeah,
you never know.
We work well together, and that's, I mean, that's the only way that I can explain it. When you have a solid team and they see the vision and you guys are on the same accord and you're in sync. I think that's that magic. That's what really helps you hit those levels and those charts and whatever goal that you're striving for. That's what gets you there.
Yeah, I tell people a team, like if you're doing a business venture, the team, it's like a marriage.
It is.
You have to be equally yoked.
You do.
I mean, otherwise it won't work.
It won't. You're so right. I agree. Hands down.
Equally yoked is more than just for marriage.
It is. I mean, yeah, if you're in business with somebody, you all have to be on the same page. Otherwise, it's gonna go down the tubes. It's not even worth trying.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
So tell us what Entice is doing. Like, are you still doing films? Are you still, I'm thinking about you in the third person, but are you still doing, you're still writing books, you're CEO of Black Odyssey Media, and are you still doing the film thing? Are you?
Oh yeah. We have still doing the film thing. I even have a couple of our authors that recently signed with us who have option deals right now with Voltage. We're trying
are you agenting that as well?
No, actually, so I'm just kind of like the contact person. So I put them in contact with the right and then they do like a one-on-one, but I'm like the point of contact, because when they see our post out there on Publishers Marketplace, because we share everything that and that we're publishing, and then they find us when they're intrigued by a storyline or a premise, they'll reach out. And so I put myself out there so that they have a contact, and once they make the contact with me, then I hand off.
Awesome.
That's great.
Well, like I said, everything that you're touching seems to be turning into gold for you, and that's a blessing.
I'm happy for you, because it's our time. I said that 4 or 5 years ago for Black women. It is our time. We have been working in the vineyards for so long without recognition. Often the smartest people in the room, and we don't get the credit. And so now we're making some moves and getting some things for, and getting the recognition for it.
Yes. Well, real quick, because I know we're running out of time, I did want you to talk a little bit about Bid for Love, because is that already on BET, or is it going to be showing on BET?
No, it's actually been aired. That one came out last year.
Okay, so I missed that one. I'm gonna have to go on BET Plus and look for it.
It actually recently aired on the network too. So but that one's out. You guys know Eric S. Gray. That's my co-writer on that one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's somebody we want to have on the show as well.
Right.
Well, Entice, we're out of our time, but show a copy of your book again so people can get it. Soldiers of Love. And it's by Entice and Untamed. And today is the release date. So we're part of her release day activity, and we're excited about that.
Yes. I appreciate you ladies so much. And I thank everyone.
Appreciate you.
Listening in, and have me back anytime.
Okay, well, we will see you in October in Houston at the National Black Book Festival.
I'll be looking for you.
I'll see you later. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Have a great night.
Bye-bye. You too.
Bye-bye. Okay, that was enticing. Now, did somebody win the other book?
Yes. It was Mary Landrum.
Oh, okay. She won the last time.
That's what she said. She said, did I win another book? My other one is on the way.
Yeah, she already has this book, so that wouldn't make any sense.
Oh, that's the same book.
She got the autographed copy.
Okay, Mary, you're in a conundrum now.
Yeah, so we're not going to send you the same book you already won. But what we're going to do is bring on our final guest, and we'll work something out with Mary. And we're so happy to have her on. She is the owner or founder, I'm not sure the title, but Source Booksellers in Detroit. We have Janet Webster Jones as our guest tonight. And I think we had a thing with the time zone. I'm not sure if you realized that it was actually an hour later, but we're happy to have you as a guest on Black Authors Matter TV. Thank you so much. We just need to get you to unmute your mic, or if someone is there assisting you.
I'm on.
Okay. Well, welcome to Black Authors Matter TV.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've seen over the years a lot of stories and just I've seen it on social media about Source Booksellers. So tell us about the background for Source Booksellers of Detroit. Did you start the business, or were you one of the people or the person who started the business?
Well, my name is Janet Webster Jones. I'm the founder and owner and chief cook and bottle washer of Source Booksellers. We are a unique niche of nonfiction books, and we're located in Midtown Detroit, which is the heart of the city, where also the cultural institutions, the Wayne State University, the Detroit Institute of Arts, the African American Museum, the health institutions, 2 of them, and many galleries and residence and retail operations. So we've been in business 33 years. We've been in the neighborhood 21 years. And as a result of the pandemic and an opportunity, we expanded to the suite next door to us. So we've nearly doubled our space.
Oh, wow. So you doubled after the pandemic.
As a result of
the pandemic. So tell us about what caused the doubling.
Opportunity. There was an opportunity to take over the suite next door to us, and we did.
Oh, okay. Well, you know, a lot of people during the pandemic and also in the wake of George Floyd's murder, a lot of Black bookstores acquired new customers during that 6 months or so after, where people were hungry for Black books about anti-racism, or just books about history, and they wanted to support a Black bookstore. So I think every bookstore we've had on experienced that. So was that the same for Source Booksellers?
Yes, of course. We are a unique niche of nonfiction books. So many of the books that people were interested in, we were carrying anyway. So we were able to increase that and to broaden our range for distributing books through our online site, as well as our being able to mail to people across the country and some parts of the world.
Oh boy!
We've been in business 33 years, so I have to say that we've seen many different changes and ups and downs, and the main point that I like to keep in my head is that business is always a opportunity to see how much risk you can tolerate.
Yes.
And that is true.
That is very true.
Yeah, it's really not about who you are, but how much risk you can tolerate in order to give service to your community. Everything is a little fluffy.
Well, I'm a serial entrepreneur, so I completely understand what you're saying.
I like to say business because with business, it's very clear about what you're doing. I'm not real sure about entrepreneurship. You'd have to look that up and read about it and see what that's
well, entrepreneurship is risk taking, so it just ties into.
That's a part of it. Yeah, that's a part of it. But
no, I've been in business for many years. So and even when you have something existing, you have to stay on the cutting edge of what's coming or what's what the trends are, and that's where some of the risk comes in, because you can't just stand still.
Right.
The world is moving.
No matter what you're doing.
Right.
That's
right.
So what do you feel is the secret to your success? Because not a lot of books.
There's no secret. It's hard work. It's 24/7, and it's accepting opportunity and having courage to go. There's no secret. It's work.
It's a lot of work. Yes.
Work. Yeah, it's work, and it's good work, because for me, it's based primarily on service. I'm not running after every penny that you can find on whatever corner it is, but I'm looking to serve the community. The community is whoever happens to come to the door, whoever I reach out of the door to get, and wherever the opportunity comes from. So I think over time, with the years we've been in business, I really went full swing into this after I retired. I was doing it about maybe about 10 years. No, that's not right. I retired in 2000. So we started the business in 1989. Okay. And so I've had different stages of the business and different opportunities, and I look at trends, but I don't just always follow trends. I'm also thinking about what the business wants to offer the community and the public.
Yeah, it's not every thing. And, with technology, things can change and pop up, and the next new thing. And I don't jump on every bandwagon.
You can't.
You can't. And you have to wait and see what's real. Some of the stuff isn't really real. And by real, I mean, it doesn't have staying power. It doesn't have longevity. So you have to be.
You don't know that until you start. I always say the business will tell you what to do.
Yeah. That's a good way to say it.
Yeah. The business will help inform what you do. Now, if you're trying to look for what the next big whatever is, you don't know what that is, and you can't really make it happen. Once something shows up that is suitable to the business that you're in, then you can grab hold of that and move forward with it, or offer it to your patrons and hang a sign out about it if you want to. But I really think it's important to have a core meaning for what you're doing. Is it mission-driven work in the way that you have a core belief, responsibility, desire to serve the community? What is it that you are doing by having what you call a business or that kind of work? Because it's a kind of work. It's what people are able to do in a period of time that they have. I happen to moved into this business when I was still fully employed. So I did this as a result of not even expecting to do it, but I went to where people had events, not a pop-up. Pop-ups pop up and then you hope people will come. But vending businesses where you can go to where people are gathered and bring your merchandise to them for a period of time. So I did that for about 10 years. Then I had an opportunity to join and create a collective of 4 women-owned businesses that shared a space. And it soon became 3 because the 4th one really did need more space. And so I was in that role for about 10 years. And then we had an opportunity to really move across the street and open up our own brick and mortar store and be still in a nest of other businesses with their own access. It was a new building that was getting built and with apartments upstairs and merchant spaces downstairs. So that was an opportunity that came along. It had risk in it, and risk always brings scare along with it. So we were able to do that, and and then the pandemic came, and it changed the business again because the business told us what to do in that circumstance. So we did. I never wanted an online store because I didn't want a transactional business. I wanted a relational business. And so I wanted people to come in the store, talk to each other, talk about books, do things that are literary. And so that's what I wanted, but the pandemic changed my mind. So I had to shift, and we pivoted to online sales for that time, which went pretty, quite well for a while, but over time that even changed. And people still have a need to gather, and we have a need to collaborate with other groups and organizations and partnering. And we really enjoy and promote and try to work hard to promote Black authors. And I have to say, they're not all Black authors. Since we are a nonfiction bookstore, we have particular categories of books that we offer to the public and authors that come along with that. So the pandemic changed us up quite a bit, and we've had to rethink how the business works, how it is able, what it is able to offer, how it's able to offer, and how we fit ourselves to the needs that people have now.
We do have a question from the audience.
All right.
Christy Allen has asked if you've authored any books, and what work-life balance advice would you give as a business owner?
Well, first of all, you have to follow your own mind and not be so taken by what the current narrative is about what you should do, ought to do, could do, would do. So you have to follow your own mind, and you have to also, I think, inform yourself about what it is that you are actually wanting to do with yourself. That's kind of hard because there are a lot of messages that are being delivered to us as Black people, as human beings, as Westerners, as Americans, as people who have migrated from one place to another. So there are many messages that keep coming at us, and we have to, I think, really work hard to continue to know ourselves in all these situations, or better yet, to trust ourselves in all these different situations.
Who is your typical customer, like that comes in?
Everybody from 0 to 105. How do you like that?
Okay, so you
the person, whoever has the courage to walk in the door, and I've been accused of going out on the street and pulling people in.
You did say that a little earlier, that you pull the customers in.
Yeah. When things were kind of rough, when I was across the street on the other side, we had morning exercise classes, yoga, Tai Chi, Qigong, and belly dancing when there was a fifth Saturday. So we did every Saturday morning. And so there were times when, a young man kind of looked in the window one day, and, he was a little on the scruffy side. So I said, come on in here and do this. And he now tells me, this is what he says. I always tell him he did the work. I didn't do the work. But he ended up going to Wayne County Community College and studying photography. And he's a wonderful nature photographer. Now, he happens to be Black, but he's not taking Black pictures. He's very interested in birds and flowers. And we have a beautiful island park he goes to every day. And he makes these beautiful, beautiful photographs. And he always sends them to me. He said, you can do anything you want to with this because you made me come in and do like that. He had fallen on hard times, so he wasn't an absolute novice on that. So I think you have to know yourself, and trust that you can be okay in the place that you have created.
Wonderful.
Now, what did you do before you were in
I was employed by Detroit Public Schools. I was an educator, and I was there for 41 and a half years.
Well,
but
great.
I did about 5 different jobs over that time period.
Oh, okay.
Some things I did.
Did you teach a specific grade, or were you administrator?
Book selling is my retirement gig.
Did you teach a specific grade, or were you more of an administrator?
I did it all. I taught grades. I taught early elementary, then I was a speech pathologist, and then I was an administrator, and then we did staff development for a long time and a few other things in between. So I love doing all that, and I like moving around and changing it up a little bit. So
now, when some people retire, they kind of sit down. It doesn't seem like you.
I'm about to say, I don't think she did.
Well, I think you have to think about that, because sometimes there's a tendency to carry a narrative that you have heard about, or it makes you feel good. We don't know what people do. There are people who are quiet, and they may be sitting, but it doesn't mean they're not thinking or contributing to where they are. So I sort of back up off of that. I'm a busybody, and I talk all the time and all that. But there are others who don't do that, and they also contribute to the society and to the culture. So we had a wonderful, we had about 7 events last week. And we had this wonderful woman who is a professor at University of Michigan, and she has written a book called Weathering. And she's studying the public health effects on people, women in particular, but in particular people of color, and particularly African-American people, and how we are weathered. Our bodies are just worn out because we overdo it. And she says that if you'll remember when King was killed, and I think they looked at his heart, they said he had a heart of a 90-year-old, but he was, what was he, 30 something, 38 or something? 38. Yeah, so this was a wonderful, this is not an African-American woman. She did not really write an African-American book, but she wrote a book in particular about the issue of racism and poverty and white supremacy and deprivation that we experience as a group in this country. But she said money really didn't matter. This was true of people who had achieved all kinds of status and blah, 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 blah. But they still were experiencing a health crisis because of the weathering of the body, that the body takes in all this stress and strain and push and pull. And it affects our large muscles and our glands. And we're always in that sort of fight flight position. You know, got to get out of here quick, fast, in a hurry because something's coming at me. Well, that dumps excess fluid into the body and into the muscles. And so we're in a constant state of tension. Her book is excellent. And there are many that we have in the store that are nonfiction books that speak to many issues. One of our big categories is health and well-being. So she just fit right in. We have another category called Buying About Women. She fit right into that one. We also talked about the book by Linda Villarosa, the book is called Under the Skin, I think it's called. And she talks about some of the same things. So that's what we do in the store. We try to offer to the public those things that we think are important for people to know, understand, have courage, have empathy, and all of that. We talk about migration. That's very much a part of not the American experience, and of course the African-American experience as well. So that's what we do.
Well, we have another viewer question. Mary Landrum wants to know if you ever worked in a library.
My mother was a librarian, and I worked as a page when I was in high school.
So you've been around books all your life. This is what I'm hearing.
Well, you can say that, but I've been around a lot of things all my life. And I'm going to tell you, frankly, books are not for everybody. It's about, you know, there are other things that human beings do, like draw, paint, weld, poetry, sculpture.
Photography, like your young
photography. Now women, I mean, people are just going after filmmaking like crazy. So that, you know, there's all of that. But it's not just the book. Really, I think that if we can, I just want to say this from my speech pathology hat, that the progression of the development of people is from listening to speaking to writing and then reading. And then back around it again, listening, speaking, writing, and reading. Writing precedes reading. Speaking precedes writing. Listening. You got it?
Yep. Well, yeah, that's how babies learn to talk.
And
listening.
And people who are learning a second language at a time when have to just listen to the TV. People who are immigrants report that they learn how to speak English by watching TV or listening to
Yeah.
TV.
Right.
I was actually watching somebody on TV yesterday who said that she watched YouTube and that was how she learned to speak English.
Exactly. And she's an adult. Right. So it's not just we tend to put things on babies and children, especially we're so anxious for them to do whatever we think books do, that we have all these books for little baby children when the adults need to be reading, and they can read that book to the children.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And I don't have anything against the beautiful children's books. In fact, I have customers who collect some of these gorgeous children's books that have been written in recent years. And they're beautiful, beautiful. But reading to children, the purpose is for them to hear language, to learn to say words and put them together with meaning. So you could read the newspaper to children if you have one, or a magazine, or a TV guide, or you may have those. But
I don't know if TV guide is the thing.
The TV guide is from the olden days. I was going to say. I'm older. I'm older. So
I used to like the TV guide.
It's great. It's really interesting. The dictionary is even better. Try reading. I have a daughter that used to read the dictionary, and she's like, "Ma, I'm on the I's now." She's like, I'm looking at O's now. I said, "Well, fine, go ahead."
Yeah, learn new words.
Well, I guess I'm responding to this idea of being around books all my life. In a way, that's true, because I have a natural affinity toward books and language and reading, and it seems that my careers have been in that direction. But that doesn't mean it's true for everybody. It really doesn't.
Right.
Some people need to let their hands be their guide. Knitting, crocheting, sculpting. I was reading about Elizabeth Catlett, who's one of our wonderful artists who lived in Mexico for a long time, and she did these beautiful sculptures and paintings and this, all with her hands. It doesn't mean she didn't read. I don't even know that. I don't know well enough about that. But what came out of her hands was just wonderful, and it has served us all.
Wow.
Well,
I'm just really enjoying this interview because I just love your, for lack of a better term, I'm going to say your matter of fact way at looking at business, at life. And I think it's actually refreshing because you're not coming in with this magic sauce. You have to do this, this, and this. You say, this is how it is. This is what we did. And we were able to make it happen.
Well, mostly I think you have to know yourself. And I know this is a Black Authors Matter program. I think that we have to look at the word author. It comes from the word authority. It comes from the Latin word accad. I don't think I can say it, but it's a Latin word that has been the derivative of all that. So it means that people with authority, some of them write books. So when a book is written, you have to say, well, who and what is the authority? Not just where did you dream it up from, but where did you cultivate this idea? Like if you listen to authors, I was just listening to Jesmyn Ward, who is coming out with a new book, and it is fabulous. You know what I'm talking about? She wrote Salvage the Bone.
Yes.
And Men We Reaped. So a new book is coming out, and she's so thoughtful in what she has to say, and she just lays down ideas and thoughts that she has gathered and studied and put to use based on her locale where she lives in Mississippi and Louisiana territory down there. And so in so many ways, you can say her authority to be a writer is evident. Now, there are people that write books where they're not writing with great authority, but they're writing to an audience that is of interest with what they write. We've always had like True Confessions. I know that's from the olden days too. You might not have heard of True Confessions, but it used to be a magazine that we would sneak and read in the dark.
Oh, yes.
Did it come in the mail in the brown ring? One of those things?
I don't even know how we got them, but but I really like to offer the best quality of literature that I can find and know. and see that it is something that's possible now for people. I also encourage people to use the library. The libraries are so important and so valuable. And if we don't use them, we won't have them. You know, right now there's a movement to get people not to read, or to ban books and all that. And so we have to fight back with the same weapon: read,
Yes,
think, do. Have ideas on your mind that are not generated from someplace other than what you know to be true. So that's what it is.
Now you have a lot of energy and vitality for, I don't know your age, but you
86.
just add up the,
wait, what was that?
86.
86. Oh,
Okay.
God bless you.
Oh, thank you. I need it.
You know, you have a lot of energy and vitality and just really thoughts that, shareable thoughts, let me put it like that.
Well,
And for people who think that perhaps you shouldn't be doing certain things when you get to a certain age, what would you say to them? Because sometimes you do hear that from
well, you
people.
need to erase the word should from your vocabulary. Just erase that. Should is as a barrier that you put in front of yourself.
Yes.
You're doing what you think you need to do. And people say, well, when you get old, you should, when you get old, I said, what? What are you talking about? Shirley Chisholm is one of my little heroes. And she said, you have power, use it.
Okay.
Power can be used in more ways than just being tough or anything. There's a woman who I think just retired. She was like 104 or 3, who was a park ranger. You know, the national, where they wear the uniforms and they go out in the woods.
Yes.
With the animals. I don't know what they do. But she was 104 years old when she quit. She's still living. So it's not about all that. And I think we have to be careful with what we determine is what people should do. Just get rid of that word. Should for who? Should for what? Should for why?
Yes.
And you know, you have to live the best you can. The best resistance is to live well.
I like that.
I got that from somebody. I didn't make that up.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, I attributed to you.
The best resistance is to live well.
Now, that
I'm going to keep that in mind.
Yeah, it doesn't mean a whole lot of money. It doesn't mean fine clothes. It doesn't necessarily mean that if that's not for you. But live well. Live with joy. This guy, Ross Gay. Hey, you know Ross Gay? He's a writer, poet. He wrote a book called Inciting Joy. And book of
Joy.
I've heard that before. Inciting Joy, yeah.
Look up his name, Ross ROSS Gay.
Okay, Gay or Gaye.
Gay.
Okay.
And so live with joy. I mean, there's a lot of bad stuff that we hear about, know about, can say, do. We don't have to do that. We don't have to be part of that. We don't have to take it on as our mission unless you choose. Unless you choose it. But that's a choice. Yes. For me, having a bookstore is an opportunity for me not to be dragged into the belief that I can't. I can. And so when opportunity shows up, just like with the opportunity to expand the store, I was scared and nervous. I never, I didn't. Bleh. So I said, okay, let's go. And when you let go, you also let the angels come on through and help you up. Who are the angels? All of the ancestors that brought you to this time. Those are the angels. They're not flapping around with wings. But it's all that energy that we're standing upon. Mary McLeod Bethune said, lift as you go. She said something like that. Barack Obama said, yes, we can.
Yes.
And we can find other people that we can hear those words coming through. Those are the ones I like to live on. Somebody asked me, what do you do? I say, well, I don't stand around any kind of toxicity, no negativity, no toxic people, no toxic food, no toxic attitudes. Get away from that.
Well,
we could talk to you all evening, but we have reached the end of the show, unfortunately.
Well, I'm glad, because it's past my bedtime in the Eastern.
Well, everybody, make sure that you reach out to Source Booksellers. You're in Detroit, correct?
Detroit, Michigan, and Midtown Detroit. SourceBooksellers.online.com, SourceBooksellers.com, Source Booksellers Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube too. And no, I think Twitter is Source BK Sellers. But if you put in Source Booksellers Detroit, everything will pop up.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, Ms. Jones, thank you so much for being on the show. And continued success with you in Detroit at Source Booksellers.
Thank you for inviting me. It's been an honor.
Thank you. You have a great night.
Thank you.
Well, everybody, that's the end of our show. And we won't be with you next week because next Tuesday is the 4th of July. So we rarely are not online, but next week, go eat some barbecue or whatever and watch some fireworks. And we will see
pop
you.
Some firecrackers.
Yeah, we will see you July 11th on Black Authors Matter TV. I'm Gwen Richardson signing off.
And I'm Dr. Rhonda Lawson. Have a wonderful evening and a great week.
Thank you for tuning in and join us next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern for another edition of Black Authors Matter TV.